Well, royal insiders are claiming that Harry and Meghan, quote, are finally going to stop writing books, making documentaries, and sitting down for interviews to bash the royal family, because they say there is nothing left to say. Well, okay then. It has been more than 3 years since Meghan and Harry decided to run away from their lives in the royal family to seek fame and fortune in California, so the two of them reportedly are going to take a big step back, only remaining behind the scenes of any future Netflix productions. I do wonder if this has anything to do with the fact that the couple of liars have been ridiculed on a few occasions after their very public revelations. This included being featured on an episode of South Park where they were relentlessly mocked. On that episode, Meghan and Harry became the Prince and Princess of Canada, a young royal pair who loudly beg for privacy while doing everything they can to get attention for themselves. Harry's memoir Spare, which came out earlier this year, was also criticized by a lot of people for not being a book based on so-called objective facts, but instead just being focused on Harry's feelings, even though Harry claimed that it was going to be based on objective facts. The problem with this new little plan is that the damage is already done. It's too late. They are going to stop now because the entire world is laughing at them. I just love the thought of just how shocked they were at the response, not only from the public, but also from the private sector. The old adage, for every action there's a reaction, is definitely alive and well, and certainly applies to the two of them. But unfortunately, don't get too excited yet, because that hardly means that they're going to go away. I'm afraid they are way too self-absorbed for that. Meghan really believes that she's a duchess, and she's going to milk that for all it's worth, and Harry's going to play the spare because he knows how to do that very well. If they claim they're going to stop, then I'm sure they're just going to keep going on, because everything they say is a big fat lie. Their worldwide privacy tour is never going to end, I'm afraid. Meghan Markle cannot keep her trap shut. She just has to be the center of attention all the time, and then Harry's right there by her side. She's going to stay away because she hopes that people will forget about all the horrible things that she did, and then she's going to try to rebrand herself. They switch tactics because they want to try and keep those royal titles, and when they realized that was the only way to remain relevant, they decided they needed to change strategy. Well, I'm sorry, Meghan and Harry, but you already showed yourselves for who you really are, so now you gotta deal with the fallout. Meghan might look at the transformation of Camilla as something that would work for her, but it's not going to. Meghan and Harry are probably assuming that if they lay low for a year or two, they can rebrand themselves and people will have forgotten all about their whining. But we can't forget that. As a couple, I think they're going to continue to be ignored and forgotten. And then let's see how long Meghan sticks with Harry. It is true that there's nothing left to say because the royal family are not letting them get close anymore, so they can't get any more dirt. And that is such a clever move by the royal family. I suspect this has a lot more to do with the fact that it has backfired on them, and the more they attack the royal family, the more people loathe them. I think that first book was not as popular as they wanted it to be and as they want to convince us it was. They were counting the sales as the booksellers instead of the actual sales to customers, and I heard from a couple of friends of mine who work retail, they had to return most of the books. And if Harry can somehow manage to churn out another book, a second book, we know that's going to be a big failure. It's true that they need to figure out some way to reinvent themselves. Whining about the royal family while it generated headlines and interest and did help them to sell stuff is not sustainable. It's not going to work long term. People are getting tired of it. People get bored easily. And nothing all that horrible went on when they were a part of the royal family anyway. I'm not sure, though, that they have anything else to offer, so they may be on a long-term drift to irrelevance, which I would absolutely love. On the other hand, Meghan has hired a new PR company, and I suspect they may have advised her that it is time to stop blaming the royal family for every little problem. This has a lot to do with their brand and trying to propel Meghan to become this big celebrity or politician or whatever. People don't forget so easily, and I don't care how many PR puff pieces they put out. It cannot erase everything they did. So they can try, but it's too late for them. They've done way too much damage, and we're going to always think of them that way. They might think it was just fine to vent like they have, but we've already seen how strong the royal family is. They've just moved on, and they have been the way that we've always seen them, not like Harry tried to portray them. I don't think anything bad of the royal family, but I do think ill of Harry. He has left such a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't believe that can ever go away. In fact, it's even worse when it comes to Meghan, because we saw her influence. We saw Meghan, the woman who ditches people on a regular basis, come into his life, and she caused him to leave his beloved family and his friends too. So I'm afraid it's too little too late. It has a lot to do with the fact that they have been made fun of every single time they open their mouths. Just look at what happened to this claim of, oh, we just want to live a peaceful, private, quiet life. Well, they didn't stick to that at all, so why should we believe them now? And it's way too late to try to rebuild the bridges to the royal family. They have been burned to a crisp, and there is no way to fix that. And in some ways, it is sad that the two of them initially had so much support, and they just threw all of that away. If Harry really wanted to escape his family in the public eye, then why did he make his wedding this global event? Well, it's not very complicated, actually. If you don't like an audience, then don't continue to get up on stage, and definitely don't marry an actress. It is a shame that they didn't go down this route when they first left and actually do what they said they wanted to do, the reason they were leaving, by the way, which was a quiet life of service. See, they're trying to reset because they have lost the battle with the Windsors. I hope they do take a big step back, though. I hope that they can find peace, but we can never forget or forgive all the awful things they did. I think at this point, they don't have much choice but to step down out of the public eye anyway, because Meghan's paparazzi friends were so upset by that New York incident, and they're not going to be showing up when she calls them anymore. What in the world is Meghan going to do with herself when Harry's in the UK and she's desperate for some attention? Furthermore, I really hope this is true, although I'm not convinced. How else are they going to make enough money to support this ridiculously lavish lifestyle they love to live? How can they afford to pay for enough armed security guards who are willing to put their own lives on the line in order to keep them and the invisible kids safe? Well, we already know the answer. They won't. The second Netflix documentary is already being produced, and Harry's exploitation of the Invictus Games is also in the works. And supposedly, there is still another book that's going to come out. People might stop watching and listening, but unfortunately, I don't believe these two are ever going to be truly silent. They're only trying to help themselves, and they're just hoping that we can all forget what they've said and done so they can crawl back to the royal family. And I hope that doesn't happen after what they put the Queen through. The attack on her life's work is unforgivable. Everybody has been saying this for a long time. You can't act like that without facing consequences. At this point, everybody has turned their backs on them. And this means they're not going to be able to sign anywhere else unless they split up and do so as a separate entity. See, the deal was for both of them, and Meghan's stupid Pearl show was already cut, as was her book that was supposedly going to have the same title. The bench actually ended up losing a lot of money, so only a biography could be appropriate for Meghan. After the divorce, though, there will be more ways for Meghan to make money. Living as a single mom, she could write some kind of self-help book or something like that. Now, the divorce may be as fake as the marriage has been so far. I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Meghan should have counted herself lucky to have the royal family as in-laws. I wish I had in-laws like that. She was accepted and she was welcomed from the very beginning. I mean, her father-in-law stepped in to play the role of her father on her wedding day. And then she had a wonderful sister-in-law who she claims upset her one time. And then there was only one relative who made an unwelcome comment in 3 years. She was lucky. William might also insist on an NDA if they try to come back. And you, do you agree with me? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments section. If you think my video is useful, don't be afraid to like and share it with your friends and relatives who would enjoy it too.